A curious nature allows to break down barriers and conflict.
I feel that I'm walking out of here and taking my business to the next level.
What this helped me with was how to put a structure around, like my sales calls, when I'm listening to someone, how to really separate what they're saying, the meaning of what they're saying, what their needs are versus like what my needs are.
Whoa. Hey. So I'm wondering, can you really change the world? I mean, can you like change things? I mean, it's hard enough to change ourselves, isn't it? Hey, this is Martin Lopez from the Curiosity Theory. Welcome to the Hangout. I got a good friend. His name is Peter Anthony. I met him at one of the Brendan Burchard events, and he was amazing. Like the first minute I started talking to him, he's like one of those guys you talk to, and then you just says what he says, and you're like, whoa, that's kind of what it was like for me to talk to him. And I remember a lot of the stuff he said, but everything he talked about was about me changing like the world, like me doing what I want to do to impact the world. And then I went and checked out his website, and it's called, I think it's like, You Can Change the World. And the people that he has on his website, the people that he engages, the people that he helps are people that actually change the world, that are actually changing the world, that are making a huge difference in the planet. And, I've been wanting to get Peter on the show for quite some time. We've missed each other a little bit, and now we're going to do it. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight to it. Peter, how you doing, my brother?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm trying to share this as fast as I can. I'm so excited. I love getting excited, man. So I put it on You Will Change the World. It's You Will Change the World. Not can you? You will.
Okay. That's right. But I was asking the question, can you?
Yeah, and it's a big question, right?
Yeah.
It's a big question, I'm blessed. I've got a really rocking background. And, I met a gentleman named Anthony Robbins when I was 19 years old back in 1983.
I've heard that name before. So.
Yeah, it's just, so kind of grew up in that environment with Tony. And, by 89, I was number one in my field in the world. Never thought I'd do it, dropped out of law school, went into beauty and fashion, crushed it, consulted, and, been building online educational courses since 89.
Wow.
I actually not online, video-based that are now online for the last 20 years, but it started in 89, video-based courses, taking people's expertise and just tuning it into what are the few things, what are the subtleties that create that change that has the ripple effect that changes everything. That one thing you learn then changes everything. Like, when you're rolling out your credits, there's a lady, she's like, that one thing, man, I'm going to do my sales calls. Martine killed it for me. I'm going to do my sales calls completely different. I just learned that one thing, and then poof, her whole world expands. Everything changes. It's just one little nuance that you finally get that, for many people, it's that, hey man, you're responsible for you. Hey, compete with yourself, not competing with others. You'll never be, I'll never be Akeem Olajuwon or Patrick Ewing. I'm a fat guy from Brooklyn. That's not going to happen for me, but I love basketball. And all these gurus are like, follow your passion. Well, I'm passionate about basketball, man. Well, but dude, you're 50, you're 56, you're chubby, you're slow, you got no hook, you got no shot. Like that's probably not going to make it for you, man. So compete with you, and you always get better. You always win. But you got to compete with yourself. You got to compete with yesterday's version of you. You make that a little bit better. A year from now, your world changes.
So know where you're at. You got to know where you're at. So I hear you saying it's like, I got to know where I'm at if I'm going to get anywhere. If I don't have a good reality of where I'm at.
Yeah. Our academy, we start with truth, right? Which is know where you're at. You can't know where you're going it doesn't matter how great your GPS is. It needs two things. Where are you? Where do you want to go? And then it's going to get you there. But if you don't know where you are, it doesn't matter where you want to go. Even if you have an idea, and so many people, they come to our seminars, they work with us, they work with you, and then they're like, oh man, well, you don't know where you're at, so how can I tell you where to go?
Yeah. You can take out your GPS. You can take out your GPS and it'll tell you where a place is, But until you hit the go, until it plots where you're at, it's
and
kind of
it needs to
useless.
be specific, right? Because
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
say like I'm in Las Vegas, right? So I'm on the Pacific coast. Now I'm from New York, and I know New York is east.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of good that's going to do me because it's actually northeast, right? If I keep heading east, I'm just jagging right through Atlanta, right into the Atlantic Ocean. I'm never going to find New York. I'm just going to be spinning because New York's really above me.
Yes.
It's not just east of me.
I was in Atlanta, Georgia the other day at my friend's house, and I remember walking out of his house and going into it's just beautiful, like, country area, beautiful trees and all that. And I remember walking out of his house and just going into the front yard and sitting, and I'm looking in a direction. It's the middle of the day, and I'm looking in a direction, and I go, that's north. And I look over to my left, and I go, there's home. And then I go, let me check. And I took out my phone, and I north was over there, exactly what you're saying. We so often don't even know where we're at.
Yeah. You show up at an event. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
But so, for our philosophy, we have 4 pillars: truth, education, leadership, and humility. Truth is knowing where you're at. Once you know where you're at, and then you know where you want to go, then you got to go get the education to do that. That's how you make change. You don't just get education. You got to get the education to do the thing you want to do in the place that you're currently in.
Yeah.
Most people get the education that doesn't suit the moment. They go in and they're, I want to do so. I'm going to be a social media guru. Right? It's like, okay, cool. We never have any of those guys. They
don't exist.
Right? Holy cow. Everybody knows how to do social media. And then, you got the other school of thought. Yeah, give it to your kids. They know what they're doing. Well, here's the problem with, and we probably all have it, right? Someone's like, oh man, my kids totally understand Facebook, man. They're going to do all my posts. My kid's killing it on Instagram and TikTok. They're going to do all my stuff for me. Yeah, they're good at getting their friends to follow them. That doesn't mean they will be good at getting your clients to notice you.
Yeah.
Because your client is a different person. And until you meet the marketing person who helps you define who's the client and does the client want what I have, you don't have an audience.
Oh, absolutely. I was talking to somebody about an avatar yesterday. And, so I was talking about my program, and then she was talking about my program, but from her perspective. Right. And she's in HR, and I was working on a sales approach. So
totally different. Yeah. She's a hammer looking for a totally different nail, Martine.
Yeah. And it was awesome. It was really, and so I had to say, this is what, this is the focus. And it was uncomfortable for her because the focus, I said, the focus, let's look at this person that works with her. Right. So let's look at this particular person. And I said, that person's aggressive. She she's just a powerhouse, and this is what she wants to do. So if we can fine tune those kinds of things. Right. And she's like, well, it's almost like, well, we got to hug them. Like, no, they're not going to hug you at work right now.
Sales isn't about getting hugs and kisses. It's about well, here's something that might help your audience, right? And this is all building tribe. You want to build a tribe, and building tribes lead to sales, right? So there's 3 things that have to happen that are key. And until these happen, you never build a tribe. When you believe, right? You, the person on the other side of the camera, when you believe that I believe what you believe, we're connected. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
When you believe that I believe what you believe, we are connected. Now, I didn't say I have to believe what you believe in order for us to be connected. No, you need to believe that I believe what you believe. We've got sales. We've got followings. You have to believe that I believe what you believe. We're connected forever. That's how marriages happen. That's how you get relationships with your children, build cultures, because we have to have the understanding is that we have a common belief system and structure, and you have to believe that I believe what you believe. And that's where marketing goes wrong all the time.
Can you give that to me in the form of a story? Do you have a story about that? Like I know,
Sure, sure, of
okay,
course, of
yeah,
course.
thank you.
I'm like a story guy. I got a million stories. I'm Italian and Latin. I'm Peruvian, so forget it, man. I got a story for everything. You want to know about these glasses? I got a story. You want
And
to
let
hear
me tell the
story about-
audience why I'm asking. Let me tell the audience why
Yeah.
I'm asking. There's a lot of things that happen. The curiosity theory is about being curious and staying curious.
which I love.
One of the things that I have come to with humiliation, we talk about humility, is that people will talk and I don't know what they're saying. Now, I wrote down exactly what Peter said. I wrote it down word for word. And he told me another way to look at it. And he told me another way. He told me 3 times what he said, maybe 4 times. And I didn't get it. And it's not his communication. It's my listening. It's how I contextualize the world and how what he's saying maybe it doesn't fit the way that I look at things.
Sure.
So if I want to get the learning, if I'm willing, like he said, to be educated, then I have to step up and say, can we hold on a second? I need to hear this a different way. Otherwise, what's going to happen, and this happens in conversations all the time, it happens in sales, it happens in relationships, is that we're going to continue a conversation. And then that thing that he talked about, I don't know. So my brain's going to be stuck over there. So I owe it to myself and I owe it to the respect of the other person I'm speaking to that I don't get that. Not that he's doing it wrong, but maybe it's over here. So asking someone to tell you what they're saying in the form of a story is a really great way to connect with what their point is. So,
yes, and stories sell, right? Facts tell.
yeah.
So the story, I'll give you one of my own personal epic failures.
Those are the best.
Right? And it's an epic failure. So I dropped out of law school, opened my own salon. Right before I opened my own salon, I had won so many styling contests for hair. I was like one of the best in the world. Like I was just, my skill set was insane. Woman comes into the salon. Now I'm one of the busiest stylists in New York at the time. Woman comes into the salon. I'm young, just gorgeous, like long hair, thin, tall, just beautiful, right? And full of myself. And she walks in and she's got this salt and pepper hair, beautiful face, creamy like a doll, like beautiful, gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
But her hair is like all everywhere, lots of gray, more gray than she should have had at her age. She was in her late 20s, early 30s. I want to say probably between 29 and 31. I don't remember exactly, but I'm going to say probably 31.
Yeah.
Right. But she was premature. And she had this hair. She hadn't done anything with it. She'd heard about me. I'm doing all her girlfriend's hair. And she's like, oh, and I said, oh, man, this is like, now I'm thinking to myself, like when you get a beautiful client, that makes life easier. And that's what I'm thinking. It's not the truth. The truth is the people who get the most out of us are the ones who have to go the furthest, not the least. Right? They get the most out of us. They're willing to change. So she comes in, she explains, listen, I want to, and I'm like, and as soon as she walks in, here's something that we all do, right? We all make immediate judgments on who a person is because we believe that we understand them based on the way they look, that they must be like us.
Yes.
So she's close to my age. Right. And I'm thinking to myself, she's a few years older, but she's hot. Right. So I'm here and I do hot hair.
And I'm
so
the
she
man.
must want to be hot.
Yeah.
So that's what I believe. I don't have the conversation.
Yes.
I just tell her my opinion.
Yes.
So I do her hair and I cut it all off into what's called a bob. I dye it red, like this beautiful color. Now, what I preface it with is, listen, I'm the best in the world and anything, I guarantee my work. You're going to love it. And if you don't love it, I guarantee my work.
We glue the hair back.
Yeah, pretty much. Right. So now I'm, and I'm in the middle of my very busy salon. Right. And everybody's buzzing around me and I'm like the king bee, man. And this transformation is happening in my chair. where I'm cutting her hair, and all of a sudden you can see her face and there's these gorgeous lines. I color her hair. The gray is gone. Her beautiful creamy skin, green blue eyes just popping.
Boom. Yeah,
I mean,
get that.
I think, Martine, I think God talked to my hands, and this is perfection. And everybody's stopping and like, oh my God. And people are crying. She looks so beautiful. This is a 4-hour transformation. This is like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm the man. This is what I live for. Who's the man? Who's the man?
That's right.
So here's the example. I believed that she believed what I believed, but I never asked her.
Yeah.
Next day, I get my receptionist comes over to me. She says, Peter, Anthony, Jane, whatever. Well, I'm going to call her Jane, right? Jane's on the phone. She said, you said something to her, like if she didn't like it, you could put it back. She's very upset. And I'm like, who's upset? Not that person that God spoke to my hands from, and I created the David of hair, and I'm like Michelangelo. Not that person. It was perfect. Like there was not a freaking hair in her. I mean, it was perfect. It couldn't be her.
Yeah.
I'll talk to her tomorrow. This is on a Friday. She's crying. She calls back 4 times. I'm like, oh my God, just put her in on Saturday morning. Right. So I did her hair on a Thursday. I'm a complete jerk. And I make her wait one more day. And this is where we talk about those things that change you. This is the most defining moment of my career as a professional stylist. I thought it was all about the education. I thought it was all about knowing how to do it. I thought it was all about facial features, balance, structure, skin tones, color, variation, hair textures. I thought it was all about the things and the shit that I was learning in the book, Martine.
Yeah.
She comes in. She sits down. And she's hysterical crying. And now I make her wait because I'm an asshole. I make her wait another 15 minutes sitting there looking at herself in the mirror because I'm so great. And finally, I walk over to her. I'm like, hey, Jane, what's the problem? Like, do you not know how to blow dry it? Do you need us to blow dry it for you? She looks at me. She says, I need to talk to you privately. And I was like, so now some sob story. You want your $500 back or whatever the hell I charged her. She says, Peter, I'm married to a very prominent judge. I met him when I was clerking for him. He's 27 years older than me. I was so happy and excited when you did my hair. We had a dinner date that night. We went to the restaurant. I felt beautiful and gorgeous and sexy and all the things that you promised. I felt them all. And the waiter came over to me and he looked at me and then he looked at my husband and he said, what will your daughter be having? And the hurt on his face, I just need my gray hair back because I never want to hurt the person I love like that again. And I'm just like, now I'm even crying now. And this is 30 years ago. And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't see the human being in front of me. I just saw what I wanted to see. I was a hammer looking for a nail and thinking that, every nail fit my hammer. And I never talked to her. I didn't know what she believed. I just knew what I believed, and I tried to take my beliefs and impose them upon her. So after I was done crying and feeling like a big jerk, I started to work with her, and I said, I can't actually glue your hair back. And I said, but what I can do is I can teach you how to wear it so it won't be as sexy, and you can make it sexy and pretty when you guys are alone, and he'll probably love that. And she was so grateful, and she was a client for a long time after that. But I never worked the same way again. Mm. And I changed everything that I did, because until I can share with you what I believe you need to believe about this moment so that you believe that I believe that too, and to get that connection. So I learned to not ask people what they want, but I asked them how they want to feel. because we buy feelings. We don't buy results. We want to feel a particular way. I started changing the dialogue. I started looking more into the human being, and I built perhaps one of the most prolific salons in New York at the time. We were number one in the world for like 7 years in our space. And that moment is what defined an entire business psychology, because I didn't know what she believed. But once she knew that I believed what she believed, she was connected to me for life, not based on the results of what I did, but based on the human being that she believed me to be. And I was authentic with her, because it hurt my feelings. I never would have wanted to hurt her man like that. And I didn't ask her about it. I just knew she was married to somebody who was rich because I was expensive. So we don't get into that. But when you do that, now that story rolled out into the community because she knew other people who believed the same thing. And then they wanted to come. And then my price was diluted. Didn't matter what I charged. Now, at the time, I was charging about $200-$300, 200 something for a haircut, and about $300-$400 for color. My average ticket price was right around $500 or $600. Now in the 90s, even today, that's a lot of money. But in the 90s, it was like all the money in the world. I was completely arrogant, and I didn't understand. And then at that moment in 1990, boom, it was all over. I knew that I had to teach people how I can express what I believe. And I always believe that the human condition, the heart of a human being, is more important than anything else. That just to see the heart, stop seeing the looks and and at the time I was very visually inclined to look at people, still I'm a dude, man. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so hot.
Yeah.
But I had to separate that from myself and see the human being. And then hence my former comment to you was, it's the people who have to go the furthest that I really enjoy doing the most and working with the most. Because if they were really passionate and hungry about moving forward, whether it was their looks, their business, their careers, their relationships, whatever it was, well, then those are the people that I wound up committing to, because I felt what they felt. At least I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that, I struggled. I don't want you to struggle. So I'm going to be there for you. It might not be true, but if I believe it, I'm connected to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, that, I don't take what people say for granted, and I don't take what people that I respect for granted even more so. That might be arrogant or conceited or whatever, but there's people that speak, and I really want to listen. If the guy's walking down the street breaking windows, I'm not really going to listen to pretty much what he has to say, except to get him to stop doing that, right? But if somebody like you, a lot of the people I hang out with, they're making a difference in the world. They got something to say. I want to hear what they have to say, and I trust that what they're saying is going to impact me. So I want to be responsible for that. That being said, what I heard you say, like in the curiosity theory, like how we say that in the curiosity theory, is if you can connect with what somebody says, doesn't mean you have to believe what they say, but if you can find a way to connect what they say, like an empathize, that's what I call empathy. You can find a way to connect. You can find a version of you that's like that. And then what you do not do is you don't step on what they're going through. Examples like if somebody I do this in my workshop, and I have this little I don't know what he is, like a little bear or something, and he's got a little arrow in his butt, and there's this other little bear and he's got an arrow in his butt, and so kind of like the way people do it, like they sympathize with people. And so somebody walks in and they got an arrow in his butt, and they're going, and the guy looks at him and goes, oh my God, and they stick an arrow in their own butt because they want to empathize or sympathize. It's like, no, you don't need to stick an arrow in your butt to know that an arrow in the butt hurts, right?
Yeah.
You can look at the guy with an arrow in his butt and go,
well, that's
referencing
a big
your own
message for right now, right?
Yeah.
Because we have so many people who are trying to empathize with people, I happen to be Latin. So it's like, people like, so I don't know what segment, I don't believe in any of that, but I don't know where I fall in the new world order, right? I'm not but
I don't know either, man.
but you're trying, I don't need you to be in pain because I grew up in a very rough life and rough environments. You don't need
Yeah.
to be in pain about that.
Yeah.
I posted something today. It's just respect my past, love me for my future.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's, you know, that's, I love that. I might steal that.
Yeah. I'll send you the
I
picture.
think, yeah, send me the picture and I'll give you total credit for it because I think it's cool. It, you know, it makes so much sense, man. You know, why in the world do I have to hurt myself to understand your pain?
Yeah. But that's the way I believe that people do what they do. Like, this person's really sad. So they go, oh, but you weren't sad a second ago.
Yeah.
Now what happened is you just intruded on my sadness. Right.
Oh, it's an interesting way to
Now,
see it, right? Because energy multiplies. If people are happy, people get happy, right? If you go to a ball game and everybody's cheering and you don't even like the team, you're cheering too.
Yeah.
Right. But same thing with sadness. But what say that one more time. So you just intruded on my sadness.
Well, yeah. Let's say for instance, you come and you're really upset, right? Like, you come over and you talk to me and you're really upset. Something happened with your wife or something, you're really upset, right? And then I start talking about my wife and how I'm upset too. That has nothing to do with you. This literally has nothing to do with you. I've now taken your story, your narrative, your need, and stuck myself in it. Yeah. And now your attention is on my story now. It's completely off of you.
And you know we're seeing a ton of that right now in the you know, in my opinion, all lives matter, right? But then somebody's like, well, my life matters, huh? Yeah. I think like as soon as you say that, you know, you do you want me to be angry? Do you want me to feel pain? Do you want me to feel empathy? Where do I need to be in order for you to feel like I'm respectful of you? Because I think let me just be respectful. I can't change what's happened to you. Yes. You know, nor can you change what's happened to me. And if we dwell on it, I can tell you the present is always going to determine the future. So whatever you're dwelling on right now, right? So that's why I love your book, The Curiosity Theory. If I'm curious, if I'm looking, if I'm searching, then and I find it, if I can find the variables to say, okay, cool, this is my GPS and I would get to set my coordinates, I know where I'll go. Yeah. Right. But if I go backwards, the best I can ever be is a former version of my bad self. Yeah. Yeah. Like, of something you're trying to. Yeah. Exactly. I love that. Yeah. And so to me, it's like when I hear you say, so when I'm glad you clarified it. So if you can believe that I believe you, that I'm connected with what you're saying, that's how, then. So I'll say it again. Yeah. No, I have it written down. I'm just trying to. But when you're trying to connect with somebody, right? So so Peter Anthony is out there, and I want to do social media. Yes. So what's my goal? As I want likes, followers to turn into sales. I'm a marketer, right? Yes. Yeah. So something has to happen. The people, my avatar, in order for me to have connection to that avatar must believe that I believe what they believe. I'll give you an example.
I got it.
Quick story.
Keep going though.
So if I'm a conservative Republican, I believe in small government, not big government. I believe in people's rights. I believe in I believe that I don't want to pay a lot of taxes. I believe that I believe hypothetically in the American dream, right? So it's like when someone says, "Oh, for the American dream," right? So now maybe I'm not a conservative. Maybe I'm more socialist, and I believe that everybody should earn the same amount of money. So I believe in the $15 minimum wage, right? Which is, you know, don't get me started on that tragedy, right? Because $15 in you know, in the middle of North Dakota is completely different than $15 an hour in New York City. Yeah. You know, so like
you're in San Diego where I live, right?
Yeah, but San Diego, forget it. $15 can't even get me on one of those scooters. So
you get to look at the scooters for $15.
I love San Diego. We got to go out and have some dinner in that. There's so many great Italian restaurants in that Gaslight district of yours, man.
Was that one last night?
Oh man. And there's a cigar place where they roll their own cigars.
That's downtown. Yeah.
Oh man, we had cigars here last night, cigars and scotch with
Nice.
my boys, and it was great. But the point is, when we start sharing that, so if I start talking, my rhetoric should be value centered, so that you can start to feel like, okay, those are the values that I believe in. So I think Peter Anthony, me, the avatar, believes that Peter Anthony believes what I believe. Now we're
Yes.
connected.
Yes.
If I
yes.
say, hey, so think of a first date. When you go on a first date, what do I ask you? Hey, man, what kind of food do you like? Right? Oh, I like pizza. I like Italian and sushi, right? Nobody ever says Hungarian goulash.
That's right.
Oh, man. No, that we try to find things in common when we're
Yes.
dating. What kind of music do you like? Where did you live? Where did you grow up?
Yes.
Right? We're trying to we're testing to see if you believe and you understand me, and I believe and understand you. And when I feel that way, I'll want to go on a second date. That's marketing 101. And that's how you change the world.
Even or stay married.
Oh, and this is where marriages diverge.
Yeah.
Because I thought you believed something different.
Yeah. Thought we were on the same page here.
Yeah. You're never on the same page.
But I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you if your husband was a was a judge.
Yeah.
You know, and that happens. That's the same thing. Like how many years later, right?
We miss details.
Yeah.
We miss details, but we get connected. Our initial excitement and connection to say, hey, will you marry me? Yes, I will, because I believe. Now, what's the other thing? It's like they believe that you have a plan for them. Like when you ask a woman to marry you, if you're a man, and I don't want to get gender specific, or so one person asks another person, will you marry me? The one energy asks the other compatible energy, right? And the one compatible energy, let's pretend it's yin and yang, right? The yin asks the yang, or the yang asks the yin. But then the only way you get to say yes is, do you have a plan? Does your plan fit my plan? Do you have a plan for me? Do you have something that I can understand that makes that where there's space for me in the plan, so that I can see my compelling future?
Yeah.
That's marketing 101, right?
Yeah. And then there's the negotiation. I'll tell you right here, like right in this space, about 25 years ago, I had met my wife, and we're actually getting divorced now. But we still get along, but we're getting divorced. We grew apart. We grew apart. So I remember right in this place, and I was doing my taxes. And when I was doing my taxes, she looked up, and I was self-employed, and she's a school teacher, right? Mm-hmm. So the way she looks at money is, she looks at her W-2, she looks at her pay stubs, and that's how much money she makes. Well, me, I don't listen, IRS. I make this much money, and I find deductions, and so I said, this is how much money I make. And she looked at me and she goes, you need a better job if you're going to marry me. And I said, okay. It was that what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. It was, and I have no problem with that at all. I had zero problem with that. It was, I said, I'm going to do this thing, which is marry you. I'm going to step up to that. And you're telling me what it's going to take.
And that's the promise.
Yeah.
And when that promise dilutes itself, because there are promises and then there are hidden promises.
Yeah.
Right. So because one promise is predicated on an assumption of a series of promises that are the foundation of that promise.
Yes. And that's where we get in trouble.
And that's where we get in trouble. So it's easy to grow a tribe, right? Because if you believe what I believe that you believe, what I believe that you believe, if I believe that you believe what I believe, but it doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah. That's the thing.
It's just, I have to feel that it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. And here's the thing. I'm going to use somebody who's very out there, right? I don't, and I've met Donald Trump. I don't know who he is as a human being. I know that he makes a bunch of rash, bold statements on social media that I probably, if I were his marketing guy, I'd be like, dude, that's a little, let's get somebody else to say it and give you credit. That's right. Probably what I would have done. I would have said, let them ruin their account. Don't ruin yours.
That's right. But that would require, his listening. And that, and I'm saying that requires my listening too. That requires when someone says, Martine, how about this? That requires my listening.
But we don't know what he believes.
We have no idea.
I have no idea what he believes. I have no idea even though I grew up in New York City, I have no idea what it was like My cousins went to New York Military Academy. Donald went to New York Military Academy. I visit them. I can tell you what New York Military Academy looks like, but I have no idea what it was like to be a cadet there.
Yeah.
That wasn't my experience. And I would have no idea what it was like to be a rich cadet there, because not everybody there, so, and, you can never judge if you know somebody, but how we take action is only based on what we believe. And we use very small, here's the thing that I believe. We use such a small filter to determine compliancy. We use such a small filter. Like, how many marriages would be so much better if you asked deeper questions before you even went to bed?
Yeah.
Right.
And if you answered the questions,
right.
If you actually answered the questions. I was yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, well, our whole relationship in it revolves around this need for sexual connection and compatibility that has nothing to do with intellectual connection and compatibility.
Yeah.
They're not always the same. They don't always happen the same. So we're, as a dude, this is just my experience. I'm like, oh my God, you're hot. Let's have sex.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking,
I'm good with that, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking you're hot. And I'm, my completely horrible idea of love, having grown up in I'm almost 60. So I think that that's physical connection, because I was taught you don't sleep with people you're not in love with. So if you're sleeping with me, then you must love me and I must have value.
Yeah.
And the value didn't come from me. It came from the physical connection. So I'm trying to get to the physical connection. And then I don't talk about the mental connection. And there's a disconnect. Or I spend too much time on the mental connection and we don't make love until after we're married, and the physical connection's terrible. So either way, we're going to require therapy. So why don't we just start out by being
and then we need
honest?
his story or her story.
Yeah.
The therapist,
we need to start out by just expanding our little filtration system a little bit more and saying, am I asking the right questions here?
Yeah.
Like in your book, you must go over the importance of the question, because questions lead you down paths.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Well, in the curiosity theory, we talk about questions, but we don't talk about questions as the thing to do. It's not about asking a question. It's about who you are when you show up to the question. Like
Which defines the answer, right?
Well, it shows the direction you're going. It shows the path, because the answer is in my question is just your answer. So I'm going to ask you, but if I don't ask the question right, then I look at myself and go, okay, well, that's not the answer I was looking. So you're right. It defines the answer. And I go, all right, well, that's not what I was looking for. That's, for instance, the story I said earlier, where I was getting help on my website, and, I was talking to an HR person, but we were talking about sales. It's like, we got to think this way. We got to talk this way. But at first it was, this is really, really great stuff. If I was doing an HR site, I'm not doing an HR site, right? This is awesome. I'm taking notes. I'm going to do an HR site, right? And, but in the past, I would get frustrated with that. So now I'd be in a fight, or I'd be angry. Like, you're an idiot, and don't take any responsibility for myself and what I'm saying. So curiosity, as I get to be the observer of my own life, my own conversation, what's happening with me, what's happening with the other person, and what's happening with the world.
Yeah.
And let's say, so when Donald Trump was president, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching, because of the way I like to look at the world. I enjoyed watching how people interacted. It was fun. It was better than the Super Bowl this year. Oh, sure it was. But it was because the way that we react is what showed up. And it didn't matter what side you were on. You're going to react, because that's what was happening. It caused that, And so I enjoyed watching that. I didn't enjoy the people fighting, but I enjoyed watching it. Like, I can't do anything about those fights. So I'm watching the fights and I'm taking them apart, and I'm curious, like, what triggered you? And then, all that.
That's a great question too. What's the trigger? And I'll tell you, the trigger is always a disconnection in beliefs. The
Always.
triggers are
Always.
always a
Always.
disconnection. I'm triggered because you don't believe or value what I believe.
Yeah.
Now where I'm against you.
Yeah.
What? How is
Yeah.
that possible?
Yeah. And
You
that's
know,
that's a really, really important thing. Excuse me for interrupting you. That's a really, really important thing in what you're talking about. You believe that I believe what you believe. There's the ability to believe. There's the ability to listen to what somebody, hear their belief and not have to react on it and acknowledge their belief. The tough thing, this is the tough thing,
tell me
is
the
that
tough
when
thing.
somebody tells you their belief and you acknowledge their belief, and they then think you then believe it.
Well, that's the magic.
Tell me about
That's
what do
the
you mean?
magic. That's the beginning of empathy, right?
Mhm.
So the reason that I'm so great at networking is because people see a little of themselves in me in every conversation.
Yeah.
And that's my superpower, right?
Yeah.
I have literally millions of people came through my salons, literally millions. We had an active database of 165,000 people,
Wow.
right? So in a company that we service people physically one-on-one for 20 plus years, and then my consulting company, tens and tens and tens of thousands of people. I'm on stage, I'm connecting, right? So everybody who goes to an event, Tony, let's use Tony because he's not a friend of mine, but a guy I knew, right, for a long time, 30 something years. Or we can use Les Brown, who's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So we wind up and we say, hey, man, I connected with what you said on stage. I felt like you were talking to me.
Yeah.
Now, I'll use it as an example, right? Les is talking about relationships. You're like, that's me, man. Now, when you have dinner with Les, like he stayed at our home for about 5 or 6 weeks, when you have dinner with Les, you realize like he's got 10 children from 6 different wives.
Yeah.
Like he's the last person you should ever talk to about relationships. But when he gets on stage, you're like, that's me, man.
Yeah.
When you talk to Les about money, he can't hold on to it. Money is like a gear, it's in at the top and out at the bottom, like instant, right? And everybody in the industry knows that that's not his jam. His superpower isn't his management of money. It's his management of words and emotion. And he does that from the stage and you feel connected to him when he's most powerful speaker out there.
Oh,
period.
The best. Yeah. He's the best.
So I would say Tony's probably second best to Les, right? Now, Tony is more pragmatic. Tony is definitely, he's pointing at you. He's using NLP. He knows he knows that his avatar. So he's very clear on to speak to his avatar.
Yeah.
Les speaks to the people. That's why he was able to get elected to Congress. He speaks to the people.
Yeah.
And they believe him. They believe in him. It's interesting, man. It's a lot of good stuff. We could talk for days and days.
Yeah.
I know we're going to a Clubhouse, right? I think that's where I'm following you after this.
Yeah. So just let everybody know, if you're on Clubhouse, we're going to be at Clubhouse at 11 and we're going to continue the conversation. Yeah. So I just wanted to address the very first thing you said. So I wrote, can you really change the world? Yeah. And because what I do is I ask a question and I want to have people be curious. And the answer is, what's the answer? Or what's the actually phrase? What's your phrase? You can change the world.
You will.
You will change the world.
So youwillchangetheworld.com is our educational platform. Youwillchangetheworld.com.
So let's go about another 5 minutes. I want to know about your process, because you got you and then change the world and then you got will. Like that's going to happen. That's what you're saying.
That word is very specific.
Yeah, I want to hear that. Can you talk about that
Of course. So whether you're passive or aggressive, you're changing the world. You're changing it as your decision to sit on the sidelines or to participate has consequence and actionable things happen based on that decision. So you will change the world. The bigger question is, will you change the world consciously versus unconsciously? Are you making a conscious effort to move it in the direction that you feel will be productive, that you feel will bring more love and energy and light? Or is your non-action or action not changing it and progressing it?
Yeah.
And there's so many, and people don't understand that non-action is sometimes a bigger commitment than action. It's easy for me to get up on my soapbox and talk about the American dream because I lived it. I love it. I'm passionate about it. Right. But for those people who think they might be disenfranchised, who don't say anything, that's how Holocausts happen.
Yeah, that's so I hear what you're saying as if you're not up saying what you need to say, you're stuck. And sometimes it's tougher to get your shoes and your feet out of the mud.
And the world will change because of your inaction. So
Yeah.
you will have changed the world.
You will impact
right
it,
now. We're,
absolutely.
in my case, I'm a parent. Do you have children?
I have 2 boys. Yeah.
Great. They're watching us.
Yeah.
They're watching our actions. They're watching our interactions. They're making the decisions on who they will be as men and adults and citizens based on what they're seeing you willing to participate in or not willing to participate in. It doesn't matter who wins an election. It matters, was it fair? Was it fair? I don't care who won.
Yeah.
Did my vote count? Well, I saw something. I don't really know what I saw. Right? Did my wife cheat on me? I don't have to divorce her. I just want to know. But my inaction creates permission. My action maybe ends permission. But either way, my decision changed my world and the world around me. And it's in anything, in any culture. So you will change the world. The choice is yours. That's my belief. I hope other people believe it too.
That's awesome. Let's end with that, and I'll see you in an hour on Clubhouse. But
Cool.
Real quick before we go, Peter, I've seen so many of the videos that you do for so many of the people, and the videos that you produce that you help other thought leaders do,
tens of thousands.
Oh, they're amazing. I love watching them, and the people that you work with are the game changers on this planet.
We're blessed.
And I am also blessed in that I know a lot of those people that are looking to do that. So
cool.
Would you share a little bit about what it is you do? Because we know, so I think we got an idea of who you are as a human being, and that's beautiful, and what you believe, and that's awesome. But how can you help people that are watching that are up to something?
If you're an expert and you'd like to monetize your expertise, if you'd like to take yourself, get to the next level, I am the mentor's mentor. So what I do is I take your expertise and I help you organize it in such a way that you can sell it through online education. And we create the path and the funnel for that. And we have a very, very simple system. So anybody who wants to reach out to me and learn about that system, PAW at youwillchangetheworld.com. You can jump in and I can tell you, but the path is simple, right? It's understanding your audience first, like we talked about today. And then what's the message that you feel confident that you'd like to share with them? And what do you want them to take away? It's asking all those really cool questions. And when we do that, in the right way, we build, online courses that are profitable versus online courses that aren't, because people want to go to the next lesson. They consume it. They're excited for it. They need it because you've laid it out in such a way that it's meaningful to them and they're progressing. So I'll give your entire group a little hint. Please. Everything that when you're building anything, whether it's a course, a talk, which are all our expertises, but when I'm coaching anybody, the one thing that I want you to always remember is that your job is to create confidence in the audience. You want them to be confident that they can share what they've just heard, that they can apply what they just learned, that they can understand the direction. You need them to be confident. And that is an art form. We've been doing it for 40 years in video formats. So I'm pretty good, probably one of the best.
Yeah.
And I love it, but that's the differentiation. It's not about getting all this stuff into video and giving people lists and tests so that you can filter out. It's about creating confidence in human beings so that they're willing to take the next step. It's a completely different idea than education. Education's to filter. Confidence is to grow. My goal is that everybody that you touch is going to be confident, and then they can help others grow too. And then others see them grow. And you got to meet them. You said something really important. You got to meet people where they are. So we look at all of that. And if you're looking to work with somebody on that, and if you have any people, we have multiple platforms where we put courses. So if you're a course creator and you have some interest in monetizing, right? Everybody needs go juice. Everybody needs money. And, so just get in touch with me and I can help you position your products in marketplaces that will monetize for you with very little effort.
That's great. Did you have, I just want to say to you guys out there, if you follow anybody, if you follow any thought leader out there, there's a very, very good chance that one or two of those thought leaders that you follow are Peter's clients. I mean, I look and I go, oh my God, I saw that video. I saw her. It's like, that's what it's like.
It's pretty interesting. I think we've made
awesome.
about,
it's very cool.
100,000 lessons, video lessons.
Wow.
This is what we've produced. Yeah. It's it's trippy when I say it, but it's 40 years, man, like we do about 100 to 200 gurus a year.
Wow.
And when you think you do
serious.
about 100 gurus and they do 20 lessons, all right, that's 20,000 lessons. In 5 years, you did 100,000 lessons. It's
serious.
a lot.
That's serious. That's some serious. And it's changed so much. And it's changed.
Man, education's changed. Consumption's changed. And you got to stay on top of it. I love, one of my clients is writing a book on curiosity.
Oh, wow. I'd love to talk to.
Yeah, I'll get you guys
Please.
in touch. She's the number one person. He's probably in the top 10 people in AI in the world. He has 1,200 engineers that work for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Please connect. I'd love to have him on my show.
Oh, you should. He's very, very, he's a genius. Like he's a total guru. And, we're building out his stuff. So
that's awesome. That's so
cool. I'm blessed. So just shoot me how we're going to, everybody get on Clubhouse, get into Martin's Clubhouse, follow him. Okay. Follow him, click like, click subscribe, smash the button, do what you have to do. But this is awesome. And he brings awesome guests to the table. So if you want to really learn from the best of the best, well, they come to him and they're excited to be on his show. So smash that subscribe button, smash like, leave a comment, do what you have to do, tell your friends, but share now. If I don't see 100 shares, I'm going to find you. I'm Italian. You see that black caddy? In my case, it'll be a big black Mercedes. You see that big black Mercedes cruising on down
the next level Italian.
Peter Anthony and his boys. So smash that like button, Martin. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, brother.
This was fun, brother. It was a lot of fun.
I've never had a conversation with you, or rather, every conversation I've ever had with you is fun. I remember like watching you have conversations with other people and just enjoying those conversations.
Yeah, how's your podcast doing? This is awesome, man.
It's doing really good. It's doing really, really good. I'm rebuilding my workshop. So that's where I'm at right now. So I actually what happened, what I realized is that I had a book and then I had a workshop, and they were the same, but they weren't the same. They were kind of separated. So now what I've done is I've taken every chapter of my book and now created modules that fit every chapter of the book. So you can read the book and then do a chapter,
Good idea.
Which is obvious, but the obvious isn't always,
I'd love
obvious.
to get your courses on You Will Change the World, man.
We'll do it.
And prompting you.
For sure.
We'd love to do that. And so where can they find you? Where can they find your podcast?
TheCuriosityTheory.com is the best place to go. And I'm on iTunes and all those places. So thanks for asking. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So go to iTunes, download the podcast, go to TheCuriosityTheory.com. Show Martine some love. These things are hard to put together, hard to get guests, hard to be entertaining. But you guys rock. Thank you so much, Martine.
Thanks, brother. Love you. I'll see you in an hour.
Okay, cool. And I'll just I'll reach out to you, man.
Sounds good.
I don't know how to do that stuff. It's Saturday, man. My team is sleeping. They're like, you're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls.
Talk to you soon, brother. Thanks.
Cheers,
Hey,
man.
thanks for you guys.
Cheers.
We'll see you guys all next Saturday or in an hour on